Stacy.
Michael, 57.
57. I cannot believe it's. How long has it been since? It's probably been about 3 years since we've done a podcast.
I know. It got a little busy.
We did get a little busy. We did.
Crazy.
We had a little thing called Thanksgiving.
Right.
I had totally planned to do a live type of deal with the table. I was going to bring the table out in front and put it in my front yard and just sit there with my house all lit up like Clark Griswold's, because that's my favorite time of year. I wait in the ugliness, in the disgusting heat of July and August, which is my birthday month, by the way. It's the worst, worst, Jerry, the worst. So I thought, okay, wouldn't it be fun to do some type of real holiday thing? And then Sue was like, why don't you save it? Why don't you get a little closer to Christmas?
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. Yeah.
Maybe next week I'll set everything up in the front yard, and then we'll see what we can manage. Now, let me ask you something, Stace. What do you do? Do you do your house up? Does your father get out on a ladder? What happens?
No. Not at any say he would.
No.
Let me tell you, he'd be like, sure, he'd get right up there.
Really? My kind of guy.
Yeah, no, he would. He can't stand. He doesn't like being told, oh, you can't do that anymore. So, but yeah, we have 2 tall trees. We have the colored lights, so we're going to be doing that probably this weekend on each corner of the house. We're going to do those up, and then we have a row of small ones. So we'll do those up, and then we got our tree, and this is the first year we've gotten an artificial tree.
Really?
We've always gotten a real tree, because up in New England, there's no shortage of Christmas trees up there, like real ones.
Good point. Right.
But in Tennessee, it's like there's nowhere. There's like, oh yeah, there's one 30 minutes away up in Kentucky, and I was like, really? And so we got a fake tree, so we'll be doing that. So yeah,
it seems to me, Stacy, and I don't want to judge you here, but I'm going to. Aren't you waiting till the last minute to decorate for Christmas? I mean, it's December. What is it? The 6th already? I mean, I've been ready to go since October. What's your problem?
Well, I think I'm decorating about the same timing as the rest of the country, and then there's you, my dear.
Oh, it's me?
What is it? Was it October 1st? You were posting.
Do I go early?
Just a weekend.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, that's the thing with Christmas. So my mom and dad were down for Thanksgiving, and that was one of the main reasons why I really couldn't commit to a podcast. Yeah. So my brother and his wife were supposed to come down. They couldn't make it the last minute. So, I had already bought 2 turkeys and a giant 9-pound ham. Sue hates turkey. She'll only eat ham. Turns out these were the greatest turkeys I ever did. They were the best. So moist. It was fantastic. My mother brought down cloves. I don't know. What are the cloves you put in there? There's a clove you stick in there, little pointed. It looks like a broken off tip of a branch.
Like rosemary?
I don't know what it is. My mother knows. Mom, what is it? You're sitting there watching. What was it that we put in the ham? And whatever it was, it really made it great. And then she wanted pineapples, but I didn't get pineapples, right? So she took the pineapples out of the fruit. I buy my mom fresh fruit when she comes down. So she had fruit from the breakfast and she put it on the ham, and it was delicious. So I couldn't really get into things. But here's a funny thing. My dad really loved the house. He thought the house was decorated really nice. And I think I sent you a picture of him on his hands and knees taking a picture of the village underneath my tree.
Yes.
And so there's my tree. Okay. Yeah. There's the entrance to the house. There's my old man chair with my pillows that I have to sit on to prop me up because I have a bad back. Okay. And I know it's kind of far away shot, but underneath is this Christmas village. And I think I sent you one where my dad is kneeling down. He's kind of looking at it. There you go.
No, here it is. Right there.
It is. There it is. So there's dad. We're just big kids when it comes to Christmas.
I love it.
This is what we do. But I always do the house up really well. Anyways, we went to Philly, and I think there's a couple of group shots of the 4 of us just at the ice rink at Dillman Park at what is it? City Hall, Philadelphia City Hall. And then we were at this one restaurant called Moriarty's where we're all huddled around a table. And it was kind of nice just taking in the Christmas atmosphere. Anyways, every year Sue always says she wants to throw a Christmas party, but she's like, I don't know. She goes, maybe next year. Well, this year we did the house up so nice like Christmas. She said, I'm going to bring everybody over. So the type of boss Sue is, she bought little tiny gifts, and she bought mugs and candy and all types of things and put ribbons around them and bought them all little ornaments, distinct things. And so she get to all her associates. I sent this picture of the table, how she, So there she had this little cookie she made. She, all these little Christmas coffee mugs and stuff. So she handed all these little gifts out, and we had such a fun time. And it was great getting to know her associates, because they're very lovely people. Very lovely. Yeah. I really appreciated them. We had some great conversation, and it turns out I should say half of them are smokers. Now, I've never smoked a day in my life, and I didn't even realize people still smoke. I didn't know that.
Right.
So we have this deck off the back of the house, and I like to dress it up with just 3-4 rows of Christmas lights and some old yard decorations I put out there, just so when I go in and out of the kitchen all night, I can see Christmas lights. Well, they hung out there. I mean, one cigarette, there's like 6 of them. They had a cigarette, and they were out there for 20 minutes. Yeah. And half the party was out there. And so you're going back and forth trying to, make everybody happy. So Sue was out talking with them and all of this stuff. And it really turned out to be a lot of fun. We had such a we had a really great time. And she finally has a staff that is dedicated and works hard. And they're all really, really nice people. So that was some of the reasons why I couldn't be around for a little bit. I was very busy. How about you? What have you been doing the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, well, I mean, just getting the house prepared and getting the food ready, and it was just, and doing all the last minute stuff with my parents. It's the regular stuff, but it was still very busy. And then when you were like, oh, how about a quick 15 minutes? I'm like, you know what? It's Thanksgiving. Everyone's busy. Yeah. Like, how many people are going to be watching us on Thursday on Thanksgiving?
You mean people are not watching the Rocky Files
right?
on Thanksgiving? What is wrong with these hoodlums? What Slackers. Is wrong? Right. How dare you now watch
have your own families?
My God. The heck?
Yeah. So no, it's just a busy time. And everyone's crazy that week.
So have we any updates from any of our followers, any of the people that we've either had on or talked to?
We do.
What's going on with our little family of Rocky Files?
Yes, I have 2 fan shout outs. First of all, this is Rocco's book. And he made an announcement that he is going to have a hardcover coming out. So with Christmas coming, I wanted people to put in their orders. And then also Rocco, from Mike and I, we just wanted to say how sorry we were to hear. Yeah. It sounded very sad. I saw your post about your brother. It appears as though he was only 10 years old, and I certainly don't know the circumstances around that, but we just wanted to send a very, very sincere condolence to you and your family. What a horrible thing to face. Well, at any time of year, especially going into the holidays. We're very sorry to hear that.
Stay strong. There's not much you can say with something like that. No matter how much wisdom anybody has, you just have to go through that pain and work through it and find your way. But stick close to your family. That's what I would do. I mean, just stick close to your family. It's about all I could say.
Yeah, that really put a pause in my day, to say the least. Yeah. And then our dear friend Jess, the poor thing. Okay, I heard from a little birdie, and Jess already knows who. From who I heard this, but the poor thing got her Instagram hacked. So she has a new Instagram, and so many of us follow her. And I just wanted to let people know that she has the underscore there now, runner_1918. So go find her and follow her. Her other account, I think, has been disabled now. So
yes. I got a friend request from her either yesterday or I saw it this morning. I don't know when I saw it. It was very recent. Yeah. And I thought, Jess, what are you drinking a little? You forgot we're friends? What happened? I mean, come on, we're already friends. Yeah. And then I thought, well, geez, maybe she got hacked or something, but she didn't send me a message saying she got hacked.
Right.
She usually writes me, I don't know, fairly often.
Right.
So I didn't hear it. So glad to know she's up and running. Sorry you got hacked, pal. That sucks.
Yeah. It's like, can these people get a hobby? Like, is that all you have to do with your day is go around ruining people's profiles? Come on.
Do you remember when I don't know if you remember when I got hacked earlier in the year, like February or January or something. So
No.
I had gotten my email got hacked. Right?
Oh, okay. I was like, your Instagram page?
Yeah,
No.
my email.
Okay, yeah.
And of course, I have some sensitive emails in there from some people, one person in particular,
right?
who played Rocky Balboa. Yeah, I won't mention any names though. I'm not a name dropper kind of guy, but this guy also played Rambo. He's also in a great TV show right now called Tulsa King, but I'm not a name dropper. My mother told me, don't be a name dropper. You just look like a horse's ass. So I'm not going to mention any names. Anyways, my emails got hacked. And so I immediately wrote this unnamed individual because the email was a scam for Amazon. And it says, hey, buddy, just wondering if you shop at Amazon. So I get a text message. I get an email back from this unnamed individual who's playing Dwight the General Manfredi on Tulsa King on Paramount Plus. And he goes, why? In capital letters with a question mark. I go, oh
crap. Yeah. You're like,
what do I do?
Yeah.
And I have it somewhat hidden under another name. And I'm like, oh no. And so I wrote him back. I said, I'm so sorry. I said, I got hacked. And he just, put a little LOL. He goes, I love everything you're doing. No problem. I keep going.
It happens.
It happens. It does.
Yeah.
But like, that's the nightmare scenario. So when someone, and God forbid they get a hold of your data, oh my God, passwords or whatever. I mean, you really want to make sure you got good antivirus and all of that. You really do.
Yeah. We went through that with the Home Depot.
Oh, no.
A few years ago. No, we weren't, but they just said we were part of the information that bulk of information that got stolen. We were in there. Nothing happened, but they did notify us. So we're always keeping our eye out on that. Yeah.
Stacey, when we started this podcast, one of our core values that we really stood by is a podcast by fans, for fans, about fans. We never really were too concerned about getting a name person or someone that was a celebrity. That was never a goal of ours. We found the genuineness in the everyday person like you and me. That was the story that I find motivates me the most. But there are exceptions to this concept that we have. And such an exception is today.
Yes.
Stacey, who are we going to have a conversation with in just a few minutes?
Mr. Michael Rapaport is going to join us, and we're so excited because he had the opportunity to make a movie with our very own Sylvester Stallone, Copland.
Copland. Now, listen, Stacey, if anybody's been living under a rock for the last 30 years, who is Michael Rapaport? Do we have a picture of him? Maybe something. Do. Do we? Okay, let's take a look at this handsome son of a gun.
All right. Well, here's this very dapper picture.
Oh, look at the intensity. That's a Brando look.
Yep.
Nice.
And I like this picture.
Look
this
at him.
But this one is the one we know very,
look
very
at
well.
That. Superboy, Murray Babbage.
Yep.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
What a cool role. He's dead. He's not dead. He's dead. He's not dead.
He's not dead. I love at the end in that scene you just posted. He can't hear. The shutout is here. He can't hear. He can't hear. He's deaf. He's deaf. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Stacey, when it comes to Michael Rapaport, he is a lot of things. I thought I was a lot of things. Michael runs the gamut from A to Z. And I don't know, a lot of people don't know this about Michael Rapaport, but he's like invented his own like alphabet. This guy is brilliant. He really is. What have you seen about him? What do you know about him? What can you tell us about Michael Rapaport?
Well, my earliest memory of him is from it was in 96, I believe it was, A Beautiful Girls. And
Great
he's
movie.
in there with like the who's who of the day,
Yeah,
Timothy
yeah.
Hutton and Natalie Portman when she was young, and there's so many people in there, Matt Dillon, and it just goes on and
Was
on. But
Mia Sorvino in that too?
Mia Sorvino was
Mia
in there.
Sorvino,
Yeah, she
right.
played Matt Dillon's girlfriend in there. And it's so, like you said, Michael Rapaport's many things. He runs the gamut from being like this very
Yeah.
mushy, very sentimental character to very outspoken and very opinionated. And
Right.
he is everything.
Yeah,
without a
yeah, yeah,
doubt.
yeah.
But this role, he was just really his character was struggling with trying to keep this relationship together. And there was just I had a few very favorite scenes, which maybe we'll get into it maybe when he's actually on.
Sure.
But it's an adorable couple scenes that he's in. And whenever I see Beautiful Girls, though, that one scene is the one scene that I remembered most. I had to rewatch it
Oh.
to remember what was happening with the other characters, but his relationship, it was with Martha Plimpton, was his girlfriend in it, and they were cute. They were butting heads, but you could tell he was wild about her at the same time. So it's kind of
Michael he's such an interesting study in humanity. He really is.
Yeah.
Because if you follow him online, if you follow his podcast at I Am Rapaport, if you follow, I mean, the guy's got a book. We're going to talk about that during and after and a little later. But the guy has such a lot going on. He's got a lot to say. Now, I happen to be a huge fan of the Howard Stern show, and I have been for decades.
Right.
And I know Howard takes a lot of flack. I know he does. So I'm going to let a lot of that go. What Howard does best is interview. Nobody interviews like Howard Stern. And Michael is a regular call-in to the show. And my God, is Michael one of the most opinionated guys I know. But I find I myself fall in line with Michael's opinions on life. I really do.
Right.
Just about all his majority. I really like what he has to say, but he does it in a way that he verbally will assault you.
Right.
Okay. In a way that I don't know, not many people are capable of. And I think that's how fast his brain works. He's just one of these individuals. And he's a guy, he didn't graduate from high school.
Yeah.
He didn't graduate from high school, and look how successful this man is. So I'm really interested in looking into his thoughts on Rocky, because I became aware of this guy. I didn't see Beautiful Girls until after Copland. I first heard of Michael during Copland, and I loved him. He, of course, played Murray Babbage, and Stallone basically has to save him and take him into custody to, right a serious wrong. And it was made aware to me in an interview years ago that Michael is a huge Rocky fan. I mean, off the charts huge, off the charts. And I cannot wait to dive into things. So when he gets here, we are going to rock and roll quite quickly with this.
Yes, absolutely. And it's funny because one of his latest interviews, you're talking about, he's what did he say? Rebranding Rapaport.
Rebranding.
Like you said, he's been taking a lot of flack. He's very opinionated, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But I think something's got to him about delivery, and he's like, I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna be good. He goes, I'm not gonna talk like that anymore. He's like, so that was, I don't know, I think it was yesterday, the day before I watched from his podcast. So it's gonna be, he's funny about it now. He's catching himself.
So. He's catching himself. Yeah, I wonder what goes into that decision, because I'm married, and I've crossed a line, I think 1 or 10,000 times, and sometimes you need someone to tell you to pull back slightly. I wonder if Michael's wife ever suggests that maybe he doesn't do something this way or that way, or something a little different. And not that another person should or shouldn't tell you how to be online, but sometimes I know Sue's given me some tremendous advice that I couldn't see it. I'm too wrapped up in something, and I started going the way she suggested.
Right.
Things were better. Things were better.
Interesting. Oh, that's good. Yeah. I think people are tired of the visceralness, and I think we need to come back to the table and be able to talk. And I think that's what, I think he might be reaching for that. I listened to a lot of other things, and I learned a lot about him over this week. and I think he's fair in his assessment of a lot of things, but on both sides of all issues. So it was interesting to listen to him. I think he actually has a fair assessment, and I think that's always been my complaint. We need to be able to come back to the table and just talk.
I would agree.
So I'm hoping that's his goal.
Do you know there was a time in my life, if I found out someone was a Rocky IV fan, I cut them off. That was my bar.
Right.
Like, forget everything else that's happened around the world.
Right.
If you were a Rocky IV fan over Rocky 1 or 2, I cut you off. I gave you no credibility. And one day I'm going about my life, and Eye of the Tiger plays, and Sue was with me, and she goes, "That's a pretty good song." And I go, "Yeah, that is it's a great song." It was a long time ago. And my thing was the Rocky 1 soundtrack. The Bill Conti music is, I mean, sublime. It's perfect. So if someone didn't say that was their favorite music, I cut them off. The thing was that Sue helped me realize is that people, we are this, I say this all the time, we are the sum total of our life experiences at any given time. So who you and I are right now, as we go to talk with Michael about this, we're bringing all of our baggage with us. That's how I was at that point. Whoever I was Rocky 1. That was me. That's all I knew. I hadn't experienced life yet. And as I got older, I said, oh, there may be different reasons for why people love what they love. There may be different reasons for saying, well, I have Eye of the Tiger because I saw Rocky 3 for the first time in the movie theater with my father. And then my father passed away. And, you know, Eye of the Tiger was our thing. And every time it came on the radio, me and Dad. Yeah, so I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just going to say, and she's absolutely, it depends on your age and your timing. A lot of people's first experience was Rocky 4. So when you're introduced to that, you know, as we say, 80s style, MTV style, you know, it's like you feel like you can fly by the time you get out of there. You know what I mean? So,
you do.
And then going back, it's a very different feel, you know. So I think it's your age. I think it's what you saw first.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And so it's funny. Now I look back and I think, I remember I wrote about in Cue the Rocky Music, a book I wrote that you can buy at Amazon. Oh, you look at you. You have it right there. I don't even have it near me. That's great. So Cue the Rocky Music, I write about how I used to go to the boys club in the early 80s. And what they would do, there was no movie screen projectors you could pull down. Nothing. They had a VCR and they had a 19-inch TV on a stand, and then they would have movie night. And you know the chair Rocky uses to put in the chair for to put in the tree. So there were chairs like that. There would be like 15 or 20 of them set up in a little media room. And so this one Thursday night, it was like, you know, Rocky 2 night or whatever. And so they would be playing it. I would walk from my house. It was about a mile away. I would walk with my grandfather's hat, the leather coat, and I would walk up Main Avenue as Rocky, bouncing the ball, doing the verbiage, and I would recite the lines to this movie over and over. And the guys, the older seniors that were in the club, that's what they call guys that were like 18. They called the senior members.
Okay.
They literally picked me up and threw me out the door because I was saying the lines before Stallone said them before Talia, before Burt Young, before Mickey.
Get out of here.
Yeah, and I can't do that anymore. I can't say those lines like I used to because now I do these gigs and so on, and it's just not because I put everything in a mental blender.
Right.
I can't say the line exactly like Rocky said it because when I'm doing these gigs, people will ask me a question. And the line from the movie doesn't match what the conversation is. So I look like a mental patient. So I have to do a what might Rocky say based on those lines. So I get screwed up. I really do. And that's another thing I want to ask Michael about is, you know, him being able to say the lines verbatim.
Go.
Oh, Stacy, is that somebody at the door?
Somebody's at the door.
Oh, let him in.
Hang on. Here he is. Right. Boom. Hey. How are you?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
Oh, so good. Thank you for coming. This is so exciting.
Glad to be here.
Michael, I have to tell you, I'm thrilled to have you here because when I found out years ago you were a Rocky fan, I said, I would love to sit with this guy just talk Rocky. And so here you are. I'm not going to waste any time. Right off the bat, I want to know your rankings of the Rocky movies, including the two Creeds.
Oh man. The
I know.
rankings. Well, of course, it's Rocky 1.
Yeah.
Right.
Obviously, Rocky is number 1.
Yeah.
Then I mean Rocky 1 and 2 to me are they're 1, 2, 1 and 2 to me are perfect.
Right.
1, 2, and 3 to me are perfect. So it's hard for me to. Nothing goes above Rocky, and then Rocky 2, is so underrated and underappreciated in my opinion.
Thank you. Yes.
And then Rocky 3 is good. I'm gonna be honest. Rocky 4 is excellent too. And then, because the Rocky 4 is so good because of so many different reasons, but the flashback scenes are incredible.
Yeah.
The Mickey scenes in there are some of the best Mickey scenes. Then when we get in 5.
Yeah, 5. Yeah, I knew where you're going.
5. The Mickey scenes are so good. But that's for me when it was like, and then, with Tommy Gunn, there's still some great stuff in there. Creed, I was very, 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 Creed 1, I was extremely surprised and impressed because it captured all the emotion. It captured everything that I wanted and I expected from that. And, I was going in like probably a little skeptical.
Yep.
Right.
And but it had that emotion, really, when there's some moments in there where you really it captures you. Creed 2 I thought was, we'll see. But Rocky, the film Rocky for me is, it is what it is for you. It means so much to me, and it has meant so much to me. And I saw it in the theater when I was 6.
I love that.
And I didn't understand everything about it, but I understood all the emotion about it. Right. Even though I was literally 6 years old, yeah. but I understood. There's something about the emotion that totally I and the world, the world understood it, and it just was, it really, it just struck me, and I was able to understand it, and I was a kid, and I didn't want to become an actor. It didn't inspire me to become an actor. I literally wanted to be Rocky.
Right. Yeah. Like someone else we know.
Oh, I understand that, Michael. Yeah. I get it.
And so and that's why I've always loved your stuff and what you do, and I can't wait to meet you. And
when are you going to come for a tour? I can't wait. I can't wait to have you.
Well, I want you to ask me questions, but like I've been to Philly a few times. I'm always there. I also want to do very controversial stuff about Rocky Balboa, but I've never been, like, I've been to the steps, but I've never been to the gym. I've never been to his first apartment.
Right.
Like, I know a lot of things have changed, in the neighborhood and stuff like that, but the apartment is still there, right?
It sure is. 1818 Tusculum Street. The paint. You know how they have the painted 1818? Still there, faded. And the guy that lives there, he comes out. His name is Doug. He looks like something out of like Lord of the Rings, and he sits there, and I'll slip him a 20 just to tell stories of what it was like living on that block. And I don't know, sometimes he passes out because he's a heavy drinker, but sometimes he passes out, or sometimes he'll come out, he's a little drunk talking to the tour. You never know what way it's going to go, but it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Was he living there the whole time?
Yeah, no, he moved in there. So the people that lived there before him, this is really weird. The people that used to live there, I became friends with them probably in 2008. They had lived there a long time. I knock at the door. I had a friend of mine from the UK that was doing a tour. This guy named Tony. We go in. We start watching Rocky on TV in Rocky's apartment. They got it on the VCR. It's the craziest thing in the world.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So when they sold the apartment to Doug talked to them because he knew it was Rocky's apartment. The only downside is now they sell drugs right outside on the corner. But here's the wacky thing, Michael. This is crazy. He goes, when the drug dealers come by, so I've got my van with the boxing glove logo and I got the Rocky hat, and I see them go, yeah, how you doing, guys? And so, hey, Rocky, the drug dealers are throwing punches like Rocky. Yo, cut me, Mick. I'm like, okay, thank you for being nice.
Everybody loves Rocky.
Yeah.
Right? It's like E.T. Nobody hates E.T.
No.
Michael, as we get older, I have found myself, Rocky 1 and 2, I'm much like yourself. Rocky 1 is the one that changed my life irreversibly. And, of course, Rocky 2, underrated. I've always said that. I'm 54 years old, and I find myself gravitating towards Rocky Balboa with such a passion. Regardless of whether the movie is perfect or not perfect, I just really relate to that sense of loss. What's your thoughts on Rocky Balboa?
I got to be honest.
Please.
Rocky Balboa, I'm be honest. I went to the theater the first day.
Yeah.
You know, one of the first screenings.
Right.
You know, if it wasn't the first, it was the second. And, you know, although it had moments, maybe I need to rewatch it. Maybe my expectations were too high.
We need to watch it together.
I would love to, and I know you're a big Rocky Balboa fan.
Yeah.
And I've seen you break it down and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, because I watch your videos and I know that you could get into it. But like there were just certain things like, you know, like as far as the casting, I didn't believe. I hate to say
that's
this.
Okay. No,
I didn't believe. You know, and also I don't like to disrespect actors or actresses in any way, but like the Maria character, I didn't feel like that. The way it was portrayed would have been that girl.
Gotcha.
You know, and I felt like, you know, it would, you know, I don't know if it was just, you know, I don't know, you know, like I didn't love Rocky Balboa. Like I felt like it was a little disappointing. And that's why when I went to go see Creed, you know, I was like, oh, you know, what is this going to be? How is it going to be? And that's why I was so pleasantly surprised with Creed, because for me, it really captured the emotion and it captured, you know, it had those moments and it had that thing. It was a totally different thing, but it had that vibe that we love. And Rocky Balboa for me, like I was like, I just didn't love it, you know, and like, you know, Rocky 4 had it. Obviously, Rocky 3 had it. Rocky, you know, 2 had it. You know, but for me, Rocky Balboa, and I'll watch it again. We could watch it together.
Yeah.
But I was a little disappointed, and like you know, full transparency, I've never watched it all the way through since I saw it in the theater because I was like almost like I don't want to see this because it screwed with me.
So there's a fair point there that I will make. Obviously, something happened.
Have you heard other people say this?
No, you're the only person. No. Yeah, I have. So on the tours, Michael, I've probably done closing in about 2,800 tours over the last 10, 12 years. The majority, it's either Rocky 1 or Rocky 4. All right. Now, Rocky Balboa, I've had a few people say very similar to what you're saying. They felt a little off by the Little Marie storyline. And I said, okay, have you ever seen, and this is like a general question, have you ever seen the Rocky 5 work print that John Avildsen had put together? Sly hadn't seen this since 1989. I sent it to him 2 years ago, and he hadn't seen any of these. There was a whole backstory in Rocky 5 where Little Marie, when Paulie and Rocky close up the gym, and Paulie goes, I think I'm going to head to Miami. They need gigolos. At the corner, instead of meeting Tommy Gunn, he meets Jody Letizia. Who's Jody Letizia? She is the original actress that played Little Marie. She's all drugged out, boozed out. She's standing around a barrel with other bums, and she's just asking for money or booze or whatever. And Rocky's like, Little Marie. And he's like, you could tell Rocky sees, you didn't listen to me. You a whore, you know? And so he did the whole thing. And then they cut it out because her acting was so atrocious. You can still see Little Marie in the street fight with Tommy Gunn. If you know it, I'll send you a picture of what she looks like. I will. I'll send it to you. And you will see Little Marie cheering Tommy Gunn on because she hates Rocky, because it was another way to shoehorn in. At the end, she says, "Screw you, creepo." And even Sly says, I didn't like the way she acted. I didn't like the storyline. And Sly really regrets not taking a heavier hand in Rocky 5. But just before you came on, Rocky 4 is my least favorite Rocky of all of them because it's so far away from what we love, with the hat, the leather jacket, the dumb jokes, skidding across the ice, butt kiss. We get this sleek 2.8 body fat percent, the coiffed hair. Michael, how the hell does he get off the mountain after he yells Drago? How does he get back to the cabin?
They yell cut and they get a helicopter.
Helicopter, yes. I was just gonna say.
Exactly. Wow. You know the deal.
See, but I would put Rocky, I would put Balboa, that would be my Rocky 4. Four I still like.
And great music. Rocky 4 has great music. Oh my God, yeah. Totally. All right, let me move on. I could. Jesus, Stacey and I could talk all day to you. All right.
No. Yeah, I'm in no rush, and I could talk all day. And I'm definitely going to do a tour. Let me ask you a question because I know you know. Yeah. So the Rocky's apartment was a set, correct? Or was it an apartment? It was in a real apartment in Los Angeles. It's not. It doesn't exist, right?
No. It did exist. It was in East Los Angeles. It was a real flop house, transient house. And it was horrific. But as you know, there was no money in the original budget. So instead of building a $15,000 or $20,000 set on a stage, they said, why don't we rent a flop house for $20 a night? And they rented it for 2 or 3 days, and they filmed in Stallone. I remember Stallone has said this in interviews, and we had one pass on this. We had talked about it very briefly. There was literally fecal matter on the bathroom wall. When he's yelling, it stinks in here, that whole thing, it stunk so bad. It was like a lion's cage. It was crazy. It was just crazy.
And the ice skating rink was where?
Santa Monica. So the ice skating rink existed until 2016, I believe. In 2016, they knocked it down and they turned it into a Target. It's a Target store, shopping store.
So Stacey, are you crazy just like Mike and I?
Oh yeah. Yes.
See, Michael, you and I are neon signs. Rocky, she's subtle. Go ahead, Stacey.
Yeah. So I was, as you were talking about Rocky Balboa, for me, everything, we talk about the Adrian perspective and how Adrian felt from moment to moment. And I walked into Rocky Balboa going, you think you're going to make a movie without Adrian? So I walk in there like all skeptical, like, yeah, let's see how you're going to pull this off, because I just can't imagine it. And for me, her part was her absence. And that's why when you say it, at least for me, the parts that missed, it was not having her there. And then having little Marie, I'm like, no. And you know how, like, especially the scene that bothers me the most is when they're both standing in the hotel doorway. That gets a little too a little too warm for me. And I was
I agree.
I'm like, get out of here, honey.
I didn't, maybe I agree, and listen, you can't replace the character of Adrian, and obviously the stuff by the grave is it's good.
Yeah.
And I don't ever disrespect. I'll never disrespect actors, because that's like, and I talk a lot of trash. You guys know that, but I felt like that casting of the little Marie, I think it could have been, you could have did more. It could, I don't know, whatever. But anyway, you guys ask questions. I mean, I could talk, about it, all the time. And
also,
I know I could break in. I could break line for line for you anytime.
I know.
Oh, we love that. Yeah.
I know. And Mike, I was just telling Stacey how I can't do that anymore because I do these gigs. So I won this national Rocky lookalike contest in 2006. And so then I get hired to go to conventions, which is great. So it's me, Ben Franklin, Betsy Ross, the Philly Fanatic, and you're walking around. And so people will come up to you and they go, "Hey, Rock, how you doing?" And I'll use a line from the movie, but it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit the moment. So I sound like a mental patient. So what I had to do, I had to say, what would Rocky say? What would I say? I'm a fairly witty guy. So I put it in a mental blender and out comes whatever. So now we're watching Rocky and I can't recite the lines exactly. And my wife is like, you're having a stroke. You don't know the lines. And I go, what are you talking about? And I say, I cannot recite line for line anymore. And I know you can because I saw you with, I think it was Nick Turturro. I love that. I mean, bam, it was fantastic.
I'm pretty good, but I go off, but there's certain stuff that I could do. I mean, there's certain stuff that, even my wife, she only knows it just because I've annoyed her with it.
No, really?
What about my prime, Mick?
What about my prime? Yeah.
At least you had a prime.
How many times did you see it in the movie theater?
20 something.
Theater?
My mom would drop me off.
And then what?
Legs ain't working, nothing's working,
13,
no one's doing nothing.
You taught me.
Guy comes around, gives me the big fight, big deal. Want to fight the big fight.
Right. Who's gonna fight that fight?
I'll fight that fight.
Fight the fight.
Get my face kicked in.
Right. You
want to be there ringside seat?
Right. Go ahead, Mike. Give it.
Do you?
Go ahead.
It stinks.
This
whole place stinks.
Right.
Talk about your prime.
What about my prime?
Legs ain't working, nothing's working, because he says it twice.
He says it twice. He goes back. Yeah. He's great. He's wonderful.
He said that they did one take of that. That's one take.
I believe that. For him to get there, you know what I mean? He ain't going to be able to do that. He's not like De Niro that could do 300 takes.
Yo, when it comes to Rocky, he goes in the pocket.
I know.
That's
great.
I mean, anyway, I'll tell you a quick story.
Please.
When I did Copland with
Yes.
all them, De Niro, Harvey Keitel, Stallone, it was such an exciting thing to be a part of. I mean, just those two guys alone,
right?
Robert De Niro and Sylvester Stallone. But, Sylvester Stallone, like I said, even before I thought about Robert De Niro's like my acting god,
sure.
Your guru, right?
But again, before I started wanting to even think about being an actor, I loved his movies like everybody. But Stallone and Rocky is even a different level. But when I got to work with Stallone, and I can't remember, it was a while ago. I was so excited and had to sort of wrap my head around being a professional and all that stuff, but I can't remember how I broke the ice or how we got to it, but we would do lines from the movies and he would do them with me and I would do his lines and he would do Paulie's lines, or I would do his lines.
Yeah.
And he would do Mickey's lines. And it got to the point where we were doing them on set. So the director, James Mangold, was like, yo, stop talking to him. This ain't Rocky. This is Copland. Don't talk to him anymore. Don't talk to him about Rocky films. And I was like, all right, fuck, I'll just do it. I'm gonna do it. I'll just do it in private. I won't do it on set, but I'm going to do it. There's no way you ain't raining on my parade. Like I'm doing it.
No way.
We talked about you. Stallone and I briefly talked about you on the set of Creed 2. So it was the scene where Drago goes in, he's in the restaurant, and Rocky's got to interact with him, right? So they took about an hour break. And Sly's out front of the Victor Cafe, and he's got the fedora, Rocky fedora clothes. He's smoking a big stogie. And I asked him a question. I go, Sly, I heard a rumor on set of Copland, Michael Rapaport would come up to you and would do Rocky lines. And you told Mangold to tell Rap not to do it during filming because it was taking you out of being Freddie Heflin. Do you think Sly would have done that? Do you think he was just goofing? Because he just laughed.
It was the director who did it.
Oh, really?
Because he's game to do it. It's actors are. He's able to jump in and out of it. So he's game to. But I'm telling you, doing that. I mean, if there was no iPhones then, so I wasn't able to. But we were doing it. We were doing all of it. We were doing like Rocky 3. We were doing, we were doing your sterno bum. He explained to me what that meant.
Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy. It was cool. It was like I was like having an outer body experience every single day.
So one of the questions that I have that I think about quite often, sometimes when I do these Rocky gigs, I got to perform with some of the old timers like Chubby Checker or geez, there's a bunch of people I forget. So I know I'm like, boy, these guys are professionals. They've been around a long time. It's a couple of weeks before Copland. You've been going over your lines, but you've got scenes with Stallone and De Niro, especially at the end. They shot his eardrum out. He can't hear. Like what goes through your mind at that point when you're working with these professionals?
Yeah.
Just excitement, I mean, just excitement. And, I mean, like I was younger, so I was extremely excited. I knew, obviously, like I'm a professional, so I'm not crazy, I'm not a crazy person, but I was very excited. And I know that at the end of the day, the only way to make an impression and the only way to be great at my job is to be as great as I can be. It's not, I mean, it's akin to like, I love sports. So I'll ask athletes, the first time you played against Michael Jordan, what was your attitude? The first time you played against Allen Iverson, what was your attitude? And they say, all the athletes that I've interviewed, they say, to go at them. Now with acting, it's different because you're not going at them.
Okay.
You're going with them. But it's the same thing. Like I'm going as hard as I can and I want to be as great as I can. And, and I'm, want to, be as prepared and as genuine as I possibly can with De Niro, Stallone, whoever it is.
Right.
And in between takes, if we could chat, we could chat. But I'm not going to be, unprofessional. I don't want to be, I know that, Raging Bulls 40 years ago, they're not thinking about that. Or I know Stallone's not, he's there, but if, I also know that, I also know that Stallone, from being a fan, is not, he's open to talking about Rocky. I know that De Niro on, he's not as much, that's not his, that's not his personality. He's not like that. So,
right.
You play around with it and you see, and they're all human beings and they're proud of their work and they like to tell stories, and certain people do, certain people don't. So you feel it out. But at the end of the day, you just want to be as great as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Alongside with them at the end of the day, that's really what it was. But I was so much younger than I am now, and it really was like I was like, So when I would leave my trailer to go on set, like I was very like pumped up, like but I also know like in between action and cut, like it's like I'm acting and they're acting,
You play Murray with such, I don't like a naivete almost. Like, was that a conscious choice? Was it more that's how it was written? What? Just tell me a little bit about that, and then we're gonna get back to Rocky.
It was how it was written. It's how, it was how, we talked about it, with the character, it was how I talked about it with the director, and it was, choice. And it was kind of obvious. That's what he was. And that's what I was supposed to do. And that's what was instinctively,
right.
What I was playing. And, that sort of being naive and sort of looking up to those other guys was easy because like being around Harvey Keitel and being
another
around
Ray Liotta, Jesus,
right.
yeah.
Pete
Berg, Annabelle Sciorra, Jesus,
and all those guys, all the men, particularly like Harvey, they're older than me, and I felt that around them, and I felt that around them, as an actor, I felt that around them as a human, so like it was easy to sort of fall into that, with the character. And like for me, acting is a very instinctive thing. I don't think, specifically about things. It's intuitive. I mean, I not to say that I think about it, but I don't, like I don't know. It's not like a math problem where I'm like adding things up. It's like a sort of emotional math problem, and it just sort of like, like it's more feeling. It's more of a feeling thing for me.
I got you. Now, you said something earlier that I thought was interesting. You said these guys they're just humans. They're just everyday people. That they really are. Okay, Stallone happens to be a writer, Rocky and Rambo, but he is just a guy. He wakes up every morning, messy hair, bad breath, and he's got to go to the bathroom like the rest of us. Not until I had spent a lot of time on the set of Rocky Balboa and both Creed movies, and I saw a lot of how Sly is. So I loved it. I love seeing how just down to earth and natural the guy is. But even that, not until I got invited to Sly's 60th birthday party at the Victor Cafe, I saw a side of him with his kids. It was a few months before filming Rambo 4, where he goes to Burma. And his girls, they're little kids, they tug on his elbows and said, "Daddy, we have to go to the bathroom." We're sitting right at this long table, and he gets up and he goes, "Okay, kids." And the bathrooms are upstairs in the restaurant. And he just takes both of their hands and he walks through the restaurant. At first, it's Rocky and Rambo walking, and they're like, "No, he's just a dad." Not until that moment did Sly came off the pedestal and Rocky stays on that pedestal, because Michael, as you know, Rocky is the best of humanity, what we could try to be. Maybe we'll never reach the nobility of the character of Rocky, but we can try to hit that. And that in that moment. So like, do you have that moment on set? Do you have that moment?
Time. Yeah, 100%, 100%. Listen, 100%, he's not Rocky, he's Sylvester Stallone.
Right.
And, he's a cultural icon, and the character is like Superman or like Batman, or it's not a real thing, but 100%, like who he is in person and who he is. It's weird, because when you're looking at him, you're like, and it's a weird thing, because that character, and it's been a burden for him, because that character is hard to get past because of what it means to everybody. Right. It's still, when you see him in interviews, when you see him on this news show, when you see him in Copland, when you see him in, you still hear tones of Rocky Balboa, you still, the mouth still goes there, there's no way around it. There's just no way around it. And I'm sure he's struggled with it. And this character's this way and that character's this way. And all these characters are different things. But it's like the thing that, and it ain't a bad thing,
Right.
The thing that resonated the most is Rocky Balboa. And any actor, creator, artist that could be so lucky that would have this, that would be their big conflict.
Yeah. Exactly. So the philosophy of Rocky, this is something Stacey and I talk about a lot. This is something I talk on my tours ad nauseum. I love the Rocky philosophy. How's it affected you and influenced your life? What's the big takeaway?
Good question. I mean, I think that I think the most influential part of it is the not giving up, the believing in yourself, the not giving up, the believing in yourself. I think that's, the thing that resonates the most out of all the life lessons that I think, have been articulated in the films. Because I think that's something everybody could relate to.
Yeah.
And I think that, that'll never get old. It'll never get boring. It'll never get tiresome, whether it's super, super serious or more mundane or more trivial. I think that it could be, like a serious thing, like a work thing. It could be like Ryan Coogler talked about it, with his father, and they watched the Rocky films while his father was going through, health stuff. Or it could be, this morning working out in the gym, and pushing through it, or which is more mundane and, more.
What would Rocky do? What would Rocky do? That's why I loved the original concept of Creed. Stacey and I have talked about this a lot. Who better to be the poster boy for fighting cancer? The Italian Stallion. Because if you take our lifelines and stretch them out long enough, we're all going to suffer something at some point. So for me, right, Stace? I mean, this is something I always, when I doubt myself. I'm sitting here in this Rocky room that my wife and I created with hundreds of pictures of things of my life that to anybody else it wouldn't matter. But because of my insecurities are so deep, I look at that and I say, like, okay, I did that, I did this, but I did that because I always ask myself, what would Rocky do?
Yeah.
What would this simple broken down boxer do? How would he react to a given situation? And Michael, Stacy and I are never going to know what it's like to have a driveway full of Lamborghinis, a pet robot. We're never going to have millions of dollars or the adulation of people from around the world. But we do have to deal with life. And I think that's the one thing that Rocky is so universal with. That's why this character, you said it best, it's never going to get old. It's never going to get old.
It's never going to get old. Those themes are going to never get old. Loneliness. In Rocky, There's so much loneliness.
Yeah.
The love, the insecurities of the Adrian characters, the Adrian character, the insecurity of the Paulie character, the insecurity of the Mickey character, the insecurity of the Apollo Creed character, which in Rocky 2 it's more there. In Rocky 1 you don't see it. In Rocky 2 you see it.
Right.
But those themes are everybody. I don't care who you are, what you have them on different levels. Everybody has those insecurities. Everybody has those things that you could recognize, which is why that movie and those movies, I think, they resonate on such an emotional level. The fun and the glitz and the working out and all that stuff, but the emotional stuff is the thing that I always go back to, for me, all of that.
Rocky versus Raging Bull. Michael, you broke my heart, Fredo. You broke my heart. So before I give you your chance to, I get it. I get it. Stacy and I just had a conversation. That's what I didn't want to waste my time introducing you when we got you on now. We talked about you for 10 minutes or 15 minutes leading up to you coming in now. So if you check it out, you'll see it. So Stacy and I actually understand your technical choice for Raging Bull. Right, Stace?
Yeah. But when you're talking to film students, acting students, that I totally get that point. For sure.
Raging Bull moves the needle forward. Mm-hmm. We get that. I get that. Because I love you, I was so crushed when I heard those words come out of your mouth. And I knew it. I knew you were going to say that because of your technical aspect of things. Right. So the only thing I need to know.
Did you explain to the audience members though what you're saying?
No.
Okay, because I want to make sure they understand.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so Michael did a thing on his podcast about Rocky versus Raging Bull. Who wins? What's the better of the two? What's the better? Michael, take it from there.
Okay, so I did a. First of all, it's like picking a son. It's like truly like picking a favorite parent or a son.
Sophie's choice.
I did a thing on my podcast. It's on my YouTube page about which is the better film.
Right.
Now, just like in Rocky, at the end, they're both standing.
Right.
By the slight edge, by the cinematic technical aspect of Raging Bull, the editing, the filmmaking, not to take any, they're totally different styles of film.
Right.
They're totally different styles of filmmaking. And Rocky, the invention, the need to invent the Steadicam and the simplicity of everything in Rocky and the gorgeousness. It's not to take away the gorgeousness of the shots of Rocky. When you watch Rocky in its proper form, the lighting, the shot of when Stallone, runs out of his apartment to, apologize to Mickey after the, what about my prime, Mick? That shot, the beauty of that, all the running scenes, in the morning. I could fawn over every shot in Rocky. The red, you know, the red in the painting on you know, like I love her, but the Raging Bull, what it did cinematically, and the influence of the cinematography and the influence of the editing, what it had on Paul Thomas Anderson in films like Boogie Nights, and the you know, and what Raging Bull did for Goodfellas, and what Raging Bull did for films like Silver Linings Playbooks and other you know, directors. You know, it sort of, Raging Bull cinematically sort of recreated all this kinds of stuff cinematically, and that's the thing that sort of took it. You know, when I had to make picking one, which is a better film cinematically, technically.
Yeah.
Again, you know, this is art. You know, these are paintings. This is not sports. You know, it's a fun debate to have.
It's subjective.
It's subjective, and I could go back and forth, and I could fawn over Rocky all day. That's why I'm on the Rocky podcast with you guys.
Yeah.
So it's not serious. You know, some people have been like, you know, like I'm doing this like kind of thing. Like I adore, you know. Also, the thing about a Raging Bull, from an acting standpoint, look, listen, Sylvester Stallone and Rocky. We've talked about it for an hour. We could talk about it for 17 hours.
Exactly.
You know, the opportunity for De Niro to. And this is just the opportunity, you know, because, you know, a lot of times you don't have this when you're making a movie. You can't get in shape and look like he did for Jake LaMotta, stop production, and then get out of shape to the way he looked at the end of Raging Bull when he's fat. Most of the time, you'll have to do a fat suit because they just won't allow it.
Yeah.
You know, they won't stop production. It costs money. But with him doing that, changed what's possible for an actor.
Yeah.
You know, and inspired so many actors to, I'm going to really get fat, or I'm going to really get in shape. Mm-hmm. Not that Stallone didn't really get in shape.
Right.
Again, they're both game-changing films, game-changing performances, but it really came down to the technical, the stuff that they just did in Raging Bull technically with the editing and the filmmaking that made me make that decision. But it's a fun debate, and they both mean so much to me.
It really is. Stacey.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's in the biz. He's a writer. He's a director. He's an actor. So he's you know, you and I are in the theater. You know, as the audience. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for myself, anyway, it's all about the story arc, the character arc.
Of course.
You know, and so LaMotta is kind of a jerk at the beginning and a jerk at the end. He didn't really.
It's totally,
anywhere.
Yeah. No, it's totally like Rocky's all heart, and Jake LaMotta, the character, is all dysfunction.
Yeah.
And
you kind of want him to. You almost. When I'm watching it, I'm hoping that Jake LaMotta is gonna, you know, have an epiphany and have some self-awareness and get over himself. And it was
he doesn't get anywhere. No.
Yeah. And I said that's what left me very like,
listen, I'd rather watch Rocky over and over and over than watch Raging Bull over and over and over. It's not an easy film to watch.
Michael, that's all I needed to hear from you. That's all I needed. I've been having agita from this because I just said, no, it's got to be Rocky. All right, listen, I want to move on. Stacey, did you I forgot to ask you this. Did you get the clip I sent you when Michael flips at the Oscars?
Oh, I haven't.
Okay, play that because I want to get Michael's thoughts on this. Please play that short clip.
Okay, hang on.
Mark Rylance.
What the is going on? You mother. You who the is this? What the is going on? Rocky.
What else do you need, Michael? There you go.
So here's the cut. So this is what 2015. Stallone gets nominated for an Oscar as Rocky. All these years later, right? He finally gets it. He should have won. Mark Rylance wins it for Bridge of Spies. not saying Mark Reliance was bad. I'm saying Stallone was better.
Mhm.
I wanted to hear Sly's acceptance speech. Michael, you're sitting there. What goes through your mind? You knew you wanted to get yourself thinking he's going to win. What happens to you?
100%. Again, he was great in that film. Mark Reliance, who I think we're both saying his name incorrectly.
More than likely, yes.
These awards, they don't necessarily mean anything. I wanted Stallone to win that Oscar. I feel like he deserved it. Obviously he won the Oscar for Best Picture, but Creed and his performance in Creed again was like a Rocky moment, because you never would have thought after Rocky 1, Rocky 2, Rocky 3, Rocky 4, Rocky Balboa, Creed. You're like, come on, there's no way this could happen. That he would make another performance in another film that would resonate again, and it did. It's almost like a Rocky moment within a Creed film.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see him get the Oscar, and I was shocked that he didn't get it. And that was just my reaction. I just couldn't believe that he didn't get it. It was a video that people saw, and it was
went viral. Yeah, they saw it all right.
Yeah,
they saw it. Michael, quick short story before I just got a couple of more questions that I wanna just get you. They're fast, quick questions. But the quick short story on the set of Creed. I was very against Creed early on. I'm like, no, Sly, you did it with Rocky Balboa. Go on top. You were great and all that. Don't do Creed. Well, I've become very good friends with the owners of the restaurant, the Victor Cafe, Greg and Alexa DiStefano. So they sneak me and my wife down, and we're watching them film and all this. After the first day of filming, it's all done. They're all gone. Security's gone home. We're inside the restaurant. It's Greg and Alexa, me and my wife, Sue. We're sitting there. Greg opens up a bottle of wine, and we're sitting amongst all the props, everything, okay? The big paintings on the back wall. And there's a script. Somebody left the script on a table next to us. So I lean over and I get it. Now, I'm not saying negative things at this point. I'm just like, well, this isn't going to do nothing. And I start going through the script, and I said, oh, my God, guys, you gotta hear this. I start reading the script of Creed, and I say to myself, Jesus, they nailed it. They got Creed right. So my big takeaway is never underestimate Sylvester Stallone. If he thinks it's gonna work, if he thinks it's got a shot, I'm going with his thoughts on
that's
that.
Cool.
It was amazing. It really was.
Have you? I'm sure you have. I've read pieces of the Rocky script, and I still don't understand how the movie turned out the way the movie turned out, because to me the script is not as good, anywhere near as good as what's on in the film.
The thing with the script is that he writes it was in the 70s, and it was a very dark, pessimistic time, and a lot of that was in. Paulie was a much smaller character originally in the original hand. I have a copy of the handwritten script that he did in those Mead notebooks, and the handwritten script says that Paulie was very physically abusive to Adrian, and Paulie's role was small. It was Adrian's angry Jewish mother that hated Rocky. She hated Rocky, but as time went on, he then made them from Jewish to Italian, or to Irish, and then from Irish to Italian. He had just gone through all of it, and he didn't. I don't know if Jews and Italians intermingled back then. He goes, I just made everybody Italian. It's a safer bet at that time. So now, because the production, they don't have a lot of money. They don't have enough money for a mother and a Paulie. So Paulie evolves. The mother evolves into Paulie. And, of course, the great Burt Young. I mean, they wanted Harvey Keitel originally, which would have been great. Harvey would have been wonderful as Paulie. It would have been different. But, again, it's like Quint in Jaws. How do you replace Robert Shaw with Lee Marvin? You can't do it. Same thing with Burt Young as Paulie. And it was, I think Sly is very proud of the fact you've heard this, Michael. He talks about he wrote the germ, the spec of an idea, 88 pages and 90 pages in those 3 days. Most of it was crap. These are Stallone's words, not mine. And he said, oh, maybe 30 rewrites. There are pictures I have of Sly doing the boxing with Carl. In the glove, the boxing glove, is a pen, and he's got the makeup on, and he's on the apron of the ring. Have you seen that, Michael?
Yeah.
I mean, this is what goes through it. I want to throw something at you now. You said it earlier. The painting, the big painting of a Rocky and Apollo, those are 15 by 30 feet. When they unraveled them in the Olympic Auditorium in downtown LA, they had 2 days to set up and film the first half of the fight. Then there was a beauty contest. They had to take the posters down, rearrange, take the ring down. The beauty contest goes for 2 days. Then they got to redo everything. Now, in the meantime, the artist got a picture of Sly wearing the red trunks with the white. And now he had already changed his mind because there was too much red in the ring and the blood shows up better on white shorts and so on. So now he's got to say, what do I do? How do I explain Rocky's got different trunks, but Apollo's got the right trunks? So now he rewrites this scene. My question to Sly, and I don't have the answer for this. Now, maybe you heard something I didn't. When he goes home to the apartment, all I want to do is go to distance. He has to rewrite that scene. Does he rewrite it because the shorts are the wrong color, or was that scene already written? That's the one thing. And I text Sly once a week, and I'm bombarding him with all this crap, and he's so generous to answer back, and he writes forever. So that's on my list. Have you ever given thought to that?
I wonder. I only gave thought because I heard you talk about it once before. I don't know. I mean, it's. They were just in a groove, man. And everything about that movie was meant to be. Everything about it was meant to be.
If they could do that every time out, he'd have like 37 Oscars.
That's just like fate.
It really is.
Fate.
All right, Michael, when you're out, Rocky comes up. What Rocky is the image that you have in your mind? Is it the 76? Is it the 2015? Who's in your mind?
76, period.
Beautiful, my man. Beautiful. Do you ever geek out with other actors over Rocky?
Yes.
Who?
That's great. Tell me one of them is Paul Rudd. Tell me one of the actors is Paul Rudd.
I've never had a Paul Rudd Rocky thing. Nick Turturro I've had. Kevin Corrigan, Benicio del Toro.
Nice.
Paul Scheer. Is
really?
Another actor who's heavy Rocky. Heavy
wow.
Rocky. Let me think. There's a few more. I mean, every actor will.
Yeah.
Jennifer Jason Leigh. She's another one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Every actor. There's not an actor that won't. If you can't talk Rocky to me, I can't really. It's got to be an age thing.
Michael, I swear to God, that was my qualification to have a friend. When I was growing up, I was such an odd child. I was square peg, round hole. I never fit in anywhere because I was all about Rocky. I would dress as my grandfather gave me an old black fedora and leather jacket. As a kid, I was 13 years old to help me on my journey. I was always getting pushed. I'm only 5'9.5" on a really good day. So, I was always getting pushed around by schoolyard bullies. And when my grandfather gave me this, I began wearing this hat through high school and this hat and coat. So you can imagine, didn't have a lot of friends. Have you ever worked with an actor that doesn't get Rocky? And if so, do you ever school them?
I don't think there's anybody that doesn't get Rocky.
All right, good.
I don't think there's anybody that doesn't get Rocky. I mean, it's kind of like music. I mean, to me, it would be just age. Like if there's maybe younger actors that didn't see it. They don't see it. They didn't see it. It just maybe like I would excuse younger actors. Even then, I'm gonna judge them. I'll be honest with you.
Yes. Thank you. Yes.
The fact that you're just telling me now, after knowing you this long, that you never saw Rocky.
I actually think I saw Rocky 1 when I was 16, but it's been a long time. It's like The Sopranos, it's like, oh, I love that show, but it's been a long time. I need a refresher. I kind of forgot about a lot of the stuff that happens in it.
What was his wife's name?
In Rocky?
Yeah. What's his wife's name?
It's not important it's really about Rocky and Adrian, right? Rocky and Adrian are like, that's the focal point.
Who is Adrian?
He's the trainer. I mean, Adrian is the not the trainer. I'm fucking with you, man. He's the guy.
Who's Adrian?
Adrian is he's Adrian.
Who is he?
He's like
when he's
there.
screaming Adrian, who is he screaming at?
He's talking about not the guy that he's fighting, obviously, right?
Right.
And he's not talking about his trainer, right?
I'm gonna judge them, but that would be my only excuse. But I'll judge them like, yeah, all right, well, they're a little young, but
you should know.
Really no
yeah.
If you're an actor and you don't really, you don't get into there, whether you're a guy or a girl,
right?
You're going to be judged.
Original Rocky. Frank Stallone is singing around the barrel with the guys. Take you back. Rocky takes a hit of the booze. You street corner bums are getting better every year. You know that? And then he goes in. Okay, the street corners in Rocky 2. They move up the street a little bit. Same guy's not going anywhere. Rocky 3, he gets the shot. He fights Clubber Lang, okay? When he trains with the public. In the background is Frank Stallone. I want to ask your opinion on this. Is that Frank Stallone? Sly's just giving his brother some work? Or did Rocky ask the street corner singer to come down? Come on down. Is that, in other words, is Frank Stallone playing the corner singer there? What do you think?
I think his brother was just hanging out and just popped him in there.
Okay.
No, I think probably he was aware, and it's the singer there popped in there.
Gotcha. A guy that follows you, his name is Bernie McGovern. He's a really good friend of mine. He's the reason you and I are now friends. He follows you. He told you, hey, there's this guy in Philly that does Rocky tours. That's when you started following me, and that's when we started to connect. The guy took my tour 3 times. He lives in Scotland. Okay. I asked him anything he wanted me to tell you. I got a couple of quick things. 1, he is the leader of the Scottish rap pack. Number 1. Okay. Number 2, would you ever go to the UK for a comedy tour?
Definitely. I'm working on that. I would definitely go to the UK for a comedy tour for sure.
My man Bernie loves you. He's going to love to hear that. Okay. Next thing. What actor, and this is his question, what actor, dead or alive, would you want as Rocky's opponent? Who would that be if you were allowed to cast a person, dead or alive?
The only opponents that there are the ones that Carl Weathers,
that's it. The best of the best have been cast.
That I don't play around with that. I leave those decisions to Sylvester Stallone.
Look at the humbleness on this guy, Stacey.
Wow, nice.
Man,
I don't play with that stuff. I don't play around with that.
Michael, you are the most opinionated man I have ever come across, and you are humbled at Rocky. I love it. Okay. Listen, I did this specifically for you. This is stupid. It's a speed round. Simple yes or no. Who wins? Ali or Clubber Lang?
Ali, easy.
Mike Tyson or Drago?
Mike Tyson.
Tom Brady or Butkus?
Butkus.
Yes. Mickey in his prime versus Roberto Duran in his prime.
Mickey in his prime.
Instagram versus Twitter.
Huh.
I know, right?
Tough one.
Let them knock each other out and no one gets up.
Yeah.
Agreed. All right. I got one last thing, and then Stacey's got just a few short quick questions from some of our viewers. Michael, on a flight 2018 from LA to Houston, you become a hero. You stop a guy from opening a door. Tell us this story on the plane. I'm amazed by this.
I'm amazed by this too. It was an early morning flight. I was coming back. I was hosting, doing the sideline stuff for the Big 3. There were a bunch of former NBA players on the flight. We were in first class. It wasn't a big first class. It was a smaller plane. And it was early in the morning, and I know that, I hadn't slept good because the flight was 7 a.m., so you wake up at 5, and, I was in the first seat in first class, and the guy sitting next to me at one point, like, I just happened to open my eyes, and he kind of jolted forward, and he said, rap. And I opened my eyes, and I saw somebody pulling like this, the door, pulling it. So I got up, and I was like, just grabbed him. I was like, yo, what are you doing? What are you doing? And he started pulling it again, and then I pushed him against the door, And I mean, the whole thing happened quick. And at that point, I mean, I was like, what the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
And then at that point, other people got up, and then the flight attendants, ran up there, and then they put him in the bathroom. And I was like, yo, he was pulling the door. And I guess the guy had been on sleeping pills and he was disoriented or something.
Oh.
But, he was trying to open the door on the plane. It was crazy. It was surreal. It was crazy. And I am not a tough guy. I am not a hero at all. But if anybody had saw what I saw, they would have done exactly the same. Because when you see somebody pulling, like he was like pulling at the,
Jesus.
That was the image that I saw. It was him pulling at
it. You could have been sucked out the door.
It was crazy. It was crazy.
Over Colorado or something. You could have been decoration on a mountaintop. So listen, what you did on that plane is like Howard Stern's dream. Now, I'm a big Stern guy. I love you on there. I obviously, I'm not going to go down that road because that's just a whole other podcast. I love everything you do on there. The thing with you and Richard recently with the Michael, the best. I swear to Christ, there's nothing that gets me through my day more. I do a lot of driving. So when I'm not doing my tours, I got Sirius on. And when I hear Michael Rapaport's on, I love it. I have one question, and I don't even know if I'm going to let this on the podcast or not. This is just for me. Baba Booey, Gary is my favorite. I like Gary more than I like Howard or anybody else. I love him. I just want to know, is it heightened anxiety aggravation with him? Is that real? I got to know. I got to know.
For me, it's always a show, Mike. Beautiful. I feel like Boofy, Gorilla Tooth Gary, you can keep this on there. For me, sometimes I feel like, for me, sometimes I know for sure. I mean, you could hear it. Yeah. Sometimes it goes over the top for him. But for me, and I've said this on the air, I've said this on the Stern Show, I've said this on the Rapaport Show. For me, it's always a show. It's the Howard Stern show. The show is always, that's always what it is for me. And I think that the craziness when it gets murky or the lines blur, I think that's what makes that's what I think makes it fun for the fans and the listeners. And my sort of involvement is just as a fan. I'm just a fan of the show. And when I call in, I don't call in as myself. I call in as a fan of the show who's Michael Rapaport. And calling in as a fan of the show, I want to be part of the chaos, not looking at it. You know what I'm saying?
I don't want to, because I love Gary. Gary and Artie were my favorites. They were my favorites on that show. I sometimes Howard annoys me because he's such a pussy about things, but whatever. I know that's part of his shtick too. I know that. But when you call Gary an animal, I start giggling. I'm like, no, don't. Gary is your favorite. But Michael, I love it. I love
Mike, he is an animal. He is a gorilla. His nickname is Baba Booey, Horse-Tooth Jackass. You can't get around it.
You can't.
When you're calling him Gary as if it's a real person, this is a monkey that they've trained. They've trained this animal, and they've dressed him up, and they gave him the name Gary like it's cute. This is a gorilla, and my whole thing with it is to mind the fact that one day that gorilla, like all domesticated pets, will rip the face off of its owner. And that's why I am looking out for Howard and the rest of the staff's best interest. Let's go back to Rocky.
Yes, definitely. Stacy.
Okay.
Please, I have
where'd he go?
I've talked enough. Stacy, please hit him with some questions from the public so we can get Michael out of here living his day.
Okay, yeah. So on our Instagram page, we posted for people to send in questions for you. And so my friend Tim, who helps us out here, he did all the video promos for you that we're going to be using here today, actually starting today. His question is actually my question as well. Is there anything you learned or took from working with Sly on the set that helped you with your own career?
Not specifically, other than, again, it was a while ago. Specifically, it's just about being professional, being focused,
Mm-hmm.
caring very, very, very much. You know, when I've worked with people like Sylvester Stallone, Robert De Niro, Harvey Keitel, the greatest people that I've worked with, I just recently worked with Steve Martin and Martin Short.
Yes, saw it. Mm-hmm.
Steve Martin is 76 years old.
Yeah.
Martin Short, I believe, is 72 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they care so much about what they're doing every take, every scene, every day. And it was humbling for me to work with them now and Steve Martin be 76 and him care about every moment, every beat, every line. Same thing with De Niro, Stallone. You know, that greatness that you see from people, it's not happened. It doesn't just pop out of, like, it didn't just happen. You know, there's a care that Stallone had when he's working on Copland, that I'm sure he has, that he's working on the new show that he's had when he's working on everything else. And that greatness and that sustainability, you know, it doesn't, you know, it's not an easy thing, you know, like the one thing if I ever get asked from young people, actors specifically, or people who want to get into show business, I go, talent is very important. Luck is very important. But the grit, this is also a Rocky sort of thing. The grit.
Will versus skill. Will versus skill.
And the never giving up and the will, the real will is just as important as the talent to continue to go on. You know, like I've been fortunate to be able to do this for 30 years. It ebb and change and evolve. And that has to do more with will, or just as much to do with will as it does with talent. So to answer your question, long answer short and long answer long, that's what I took away from working with Stallone.
Love it. Love it. Is there anything about Sly you learned that many may not know? Any little tidbit?
I mean, I think that the thing that I remember, there was a moment. I'll tell you this was funny. I mean, you probably saw this too. I saw him, I don't know if this was in character or not, but we were not shooting. But I remember seeing him off to the side. It's a private set. We were outside, but, you know, there's no one around. There was no fans around, whatever. You know, he's like, you know, we're in between takes, and he was smoking a cigarette. And at first I was like, the first thing I was like, Rocky doesn't smoke cigarettes. And
he stopped.
Yeah. You know, like that was the first thing. But I remember I went over and talked to him, and we were talking. I was like, yo, are you ever like able to like not be recognized? Because like at that moment, you know, there's no one around, and he's so famous. You could recognize Sylvester Stallone.
Oh yeah.
From behind.
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
You know, there's certain people that are, whether it's him, Leonardo DiCaprio, you know, it could be somebody that, you know, as unusual as, it could be, you know, basketball players, you know, because we see them three-dimensional on TV.
Yeah.
You know, or David Schwimmer from Friends, you know, and I remember talking to him about just like and he was just saying, he goes, nah, it's just something I'm used to, and like it's part of my life. Listen, things could be way worse for you. But I remember just him giving me like a really honest answer about this is what it is. And I also remember thinking about him, not that I saw him, but thinking about a lot of people that I've worked with during the pandemic and how they probably appreciated the masks.
Oh, yeah.
Because
good point.
Those masks are probably like, fuck, I haven't been able to do this for 30 years.
Yeah.
Right.
You
That's
know, for real, you know, like for real, like a mask and a baseball. Like, you know, in sunglasses, they could finally, and they don't look crazy.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Unless you're Jonah Hill. And okay, so Jonah Hill, he goes instead of the head, you know, there's a shape to Jonah. And, you know, I mean, and I love Jonah. I think he's a great actor and all that. Anyway, Stacey, go ahead.
Okay, so that's okay. 3 more. They're quick. That last one was from Brian Safard, who is one of our faithful. So Lorenzo Leonard, I loved this question. He's also an actor and a director who follows us. And he says, if you were in Rocky or on Rocky, what role would you have been? What role would you be in Rocky?
This is sacrilegious. I mean,
I'll tell you what I would see Michael as. I would see Michael as Buddy the driver. That's who Michael would be. That's Buddy.
Take her to the zoo.
Take her to the zoo, Rock.
Yes.
Hey, did you get the number? Of what? The truck to run over your face. That's you.
Yeah, that's good.
You would be Buddy.
But I couldn't do it like Buddy. I couldn't do it like. But there's there's pieces of me that relate to Buddy. There's pieces of me that relate to Gazzo. There's pieces of me even on 52 that relate to Mickey. There's pieces of me that relate to Duke in Rocky 2. He's like, he's like,
let it go.
Let it go.
I saw you beat that man like I never saw no man get beat before. And the man kept coming after you. We don't need that kind of man in our life.
So
thank you very much. Are you charging my social media? You know what I mean? It's great.
But where was Buddy a real dude?
Buddy was I believe from what I know of Buddy is that he was a guy standing off to the side. Originally, Gazzo was driving himself. There was no driver for Gazzo, and Stallone realized we got to elevate Gazzo. He's a long shark. He can't drive himself. So some guy was off to the side and said, "Hey, you want to be in a movie?" And he goes, "What do I have to do?"
Mike, you know this? The actor who plays the ice skating rink guy.
Yeah. I know.
Have you ever seen that documentary that Scorsese did? If I could throw this at you, did you ever see this documentary called that Scorsese did?
I don't know. I don't think I have. I'll have to say no unless I forgot.
Because you know that actor was in Mean Streets, right?
Yes, he was.
There's an actor called, and there's a documentary that Scorsese did that I'm going to send to you.
Okay.
That he's in a lot.
Really?
It's about the actor. It's about the actor who is the gun salesman in Taxi Driver. I think his name is Stephen Pearl or Stephen Prince.
Okay.
And the actor who plays the ice skating guy, who's also in Mean Streets, is also in that documentary as himself. And you need to watch it.
I will.
Right.
I'll have 7 minutes.
7 minutes.
6 minutes. Stacey, what else we got?
Okay. Austin, one of our veterans, has a question. What was your favorite film to shoot and why?
It's hard to pick one. Copland was great. Beautiful Girls was great. True Romance was great.
Beautiful Girls.
There's been tons of them, and some of the ones that I've done that weren't even that good. I had a ball doing.
Last doing, yeah.
It's always the the time that you have on the set is the thing that you take away. The finished product is for the fans. So it's hard to pick one.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting thought. All right. And our last question comes from Mike's movie, the Pretender movie. Jim Toscano's the director. And so he was just curious, had you seen The Pretender?
Yeah, I did. I did see it, and I really liked it. I thought it was fascinating. I thought it was great. I wish more people got to see it.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. It had played in film festivals around the world, and it did very well, won a bunch of awards. Then we get invited to the Beverly Hills Film Festival. We go out there. I'm sitting at one of the Mulberry Pizza out there in Beverly Hills. Sly pulls up in his big car. He's ready to pick up Richie, who runs the place, and my buddy yells, "Sly, it's Mike, your friend from Philly." And Sly the window goes down, and he goes, "What are you doing out here?" So I told him, I said, "Oh, it's playing. My movie's playing at the Man's Chinese Theater. Come on out and see it, blah, blah, blah." And so we had this great little talk about it. Like, who would have known? Who could have imagined that? So we sell the movie gets sold at the Beverly Hills Film Festival. We lose every award possible. We get completely humiliated, but then it gets sold to the platforms. And then Sly sees it. April 1st, 2020, Sly is in COVID arrest, like the rest of us, house arrest, and he watches it. And he puts out a 15-second thing. If you are a Rocky fan, you have to.
Right.
And I'm like, holy Christ.
Yeah.
In 24 hours, like my guy, Toscano, got the thing. In 24 hours, they got 50,000 downloads. from a kid from Scranton, Pennsylvania.
That's crazy.
Are you kidding me? This is unbelievable. And it's the biggest, for me, it's the biggest moment in my world. I'm glad you saw it, Michael. Thank
Absolutely. It was awesome.
you. Mike, Stacey, anything else?
No, those for questions. No,
that was it. Okay.
That was everything.
Michael, last question I ask everybody on that does the podcast. If you had 30 seconds in an elevator with Sylvester Stallone today in your career, 2022, what do you say to him?
Man, that's a good question. Just thank him, for the movies. If it's 30 seconds, thank him for the movies, thank him for the inspiration. Resonates just as much as it did is when I first saw it, and keep punching.
Yes, keep punching. He did it. Michael, thank you. I'm not gonna hold you up anymore. I do want to get you back in about 4 or 5 months. I want to dissect one of the Rocky movies. All right, we'll figure out which one it is. We'll just chat about the movie, half hour. We'll get you out of here.
I want to.
Stacey, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to encourage you to watch Rocky Balboa again.
When I come back, I'll already have done that, and when I do the when we dissect one, maybe it'll be in person because I want to do the tour with you.
That'd be great.
I just think that it hits different at different ages. You know what I'm saying? So, at 53, it's going to hit different than when you watched it in 06.
And I did everything I could, and I'm proud of myself that I didn't jump in to start doing lines with you.
I know. But that's next. That's our next one. I'm going to study up. We're going to have a great time. Michael, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
So much fun. Bye-bye.
Come on, Stacey.
That was so
Come on, out of the ballpark. Come on. High five,
fun.
my friend. High five. Come on.
Yay.
I was worried that we were going to hold them too long at 20 minutes.
No, I'm just glad whenever he said, I got all day, I'm like, yay. Because, he's fun. He's funny. And that was great. That was great. And it's so neat because now this is like a whole different, we have all of our fans on who, and that of course will continue. And, but it's like now, could you imagine every once in a while we get an actor on who's a Rocky fan? And so that's like a new way that Rocky has influenced the world is through these actors. And what do they bring into their acting, directing, writing because they loved Rocky or because they love Stallone? That'll be a cool opportunity. As we go along.
Well said, Stacey. When you have an individual who is so established like Michael is, to me, when they're willing to, because he's a busy guy, there's lots of projects going on. There's a lot of podcasts he could be doing. So to take time away from your family, away from your business, whatever it is. Maybe Michael just would prefer to sit in a chair and stare at the wall and do nothing. You're entitled to that. But to come on here and to do our little happy podcast that I never ever wanted to end up doing, and because of you, so listen, I am so thrilled with how today went.
Yeah,
Michael was fantastic.
Yeah,
absolutely.
just great. That was exciting. So, and as you said, you're like, when we started this, did we ever imagine? And so it just shows how something, I think, because he said everybody gets Rocky, you can bring in everyone. I don't care if you're, nobody or, somebody, and nobody's nobody. I don't want to sound like that, but you know what I mean? Or the most regular person.
Yeah.
Everybody gets it. So
I really, and just to see him as a Rocky fan was brilliant. So Michael, if you'll watch this, if you rewatch it, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, so Stacey, what else do we have left to talk about? We got a few things left in the tank.
Yes.
What's up?
You told me about some very cool t-shirts. Tell me about that.
Okay, so there is a clothing line out there called Contenders, and they started off a few years back by selling boxer shorts, but they would sell Rocky, the flag and stripes and all that. They said the golden ones, the black ones with the yellow stripe, Clubber Lang, Ivan Drago's, all of that, and they've gone into the creeds. So they are an officially licensed a seller of these things. Well, one of their salesmen took one of my tours a few years back, and we stayed fairly decent friends. And so they reached out to me and they said, this was just a couple months back. And they said, Mike, we want to do a Rocky tour shirt. And I'm like, well, I do Rocky tours. What are you talking about? And they said, no, not a physical. What is the tour of all of Rocky's fight? What dates, locations, and so on. So, of course, they came to me and I wrote everything down. But it wasn't enough that I just write the dates down. You have to write the dates with your rationalization, how you found it, because not all the dates line up. Stacy, here's something. I don't even know if you know this. You probably do, but I won't hold it against you if you don't. What year does Rocky 2 take place in?
Oh, yeah, I know the movie is 79, but
79, filmed in 78, but what year does it take place in?
So it would still be 76?
That's my girl. That's it. You got it. 76, yes. So because it literally opens up the night of the fight. Rocky's in the hospital for, I don't know, a week or so, and then he gets married and goes through his life and has the baby, and he fights in Thanksgiving. He's got to fight. In November, he fights Apollo for a second. So you have to put down, it's not as easy as people think.
Right.
Go try and find the Clubber Lang fight dates. Go do that. Yeah. Now, it's out there now, and, you know, they did a little shout out to me. Anyway, here is the T-shirt, front and back. Stacy, what do we got?
All right. Here's the front, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's the short one. And then they have a long sleeve. But there you go. Rocky boxing. I look at that. I'm so proud of that.
Yeah.
Even the first fight with Spider Rico in 75. I love
it. Yeah. No, those are great shirts. Those are great shirts.
You know, if you're out there, please pick them up. Contenders are great. Also, go to the Sly Stallone shop where they have just come out with the Thunderbird Aztec sweater that Rocky yells. All right.
So I ordered mine.
So there's mine. I've had mine for a few years now, and I've ordered one from the Sly Stallone shop because I've got to patron them. I love them so much.
I think we need to wear them for our Christmas episode.
think we should. We will. I think we should. I think we should. Jeez. All right, what else we got going on?
Okay, and so we just want to give a shout out to Tony C and to Mick and Jess Ferrara. They are headed to an experience in LA.
Oh, fantastic.
With Sylvester Stallone. So that is on the 10th, right? Is it the 10th? And they're going to be meeting. They're going to be meeting Sylvester Stallone, and I'm going to be putting out a request for pictures for anyone who goes there. But
that's great.
The ones that I know of right now are Tony C and Mike and Jess. So and Mike and Jess are actually episode 58, and they're going to be with us.
I love those two.
Yeah, they're going to be with us to talk about their experience with Sylvester Stallone in LA. So there are 58. Yeah.
I can't wait to hear that. I mean, I had the pleasure of having these guys on a tour not that long ago. And then we hung out last November outside the theater waiting to go to I just can't wait to see these two again. These two are love birds.
Them.
They are. They're great. They're
great wedding too. Fun wedding pics coming on them. So
what else, Stacy?
That's it. Where can people find you, Michael?
Okay, so I am on Instagram, the Yo Philly Rocky Film Tours, or the Rocky Files. And one last place you can find me. I used to be putting it down. I used to get a lot of hate. Now I'm getting the opposite. I'm getting a lot of love. TikTok Rocky. TICK. No, wait. How do I TICK? TOK. TikTok Rocky. So you can find me over there at TikTok. I'm there. And I have this little book that I wrote called Cue the Rocky Music. It's really, really interesting. Not a lot of big words. Look at that. I mean, she has that ready to go. Yeah, gotta love her. So there you go. Stacy, where can we find? Oh, and the Pretender, Jimmy Toscano. Listen, Rap saw the Pretender and loved it. Come on, Jimmy. Come on.
Cool.
That's cool. That's cool. Stacy, where can we find you at?
I am at Had Me at Yo on Instagram, and the Rocky Files on Instagram, and the Rocky Files podcast on Facebook. Nice. And I'm in Tennessee. That's it.
And you're in Tennessee. Oh, last thing. I just saw a movie trailer called Cocaine Bear. Have you seen the trailer?
No.
Do yourself a favor and watch it. The trailer is about a bear based on a true story that ate 6 bricks of cocaine that were tossed out of an airplane in Knoxville, Tennessee. and a bear went crazy and started murdering people. It was all cracked out on coke. True story.
Oh my gosh.
Cocaine Bear.
I'll
Check
look
it
it
out.
up.
I think it's Ray Liotta's last movie. Check it out. Stacey, I have
Okay.
to go. I can't. I'm so excited from Rapaport. This man was just wonderful. He was so good to us.
It was great.
Michael, if you're still watching, thank you again, my friend, and I look forward to our continued friendship. Stacey,
Absolutely.
see you in a week.
See ya. Keep punching.
Punching.
Bye.